How are you guys? Happy Tuesday. It's very good to see you. Um, I am, like I said, continuing a series of lives on Tuesdays, and today I want to talk to you more about making an ideal client avatar for your business. So, last week I talked about in a live and on my blog, um, I talked about, forgive me, it's 11:30 my time or 11:40. So I'm a little, a little goofed up. I'm sorry. So last week we talked about client avatars um, and why they matter. It's not just enough for your business to have a target market. Okay, so for example, it's not just enough to know that you serve like real estate lawyers in Dallas. Okay, that's good. But for the specific nature of how all business marketing is these days, um, you need to be a lot more specific to be heard. I mean, think about it. You've got clients who are used to Netflix suggesting everything for them and Amazon tailoring what they, recommending and suggesting what they should buy. You really need to be specific in who you're talking to. And the only way to do that is to really get to know your client. So last week I wanted to teach you about the importance of it because I want your business's message to get out there to really do well. And today I'm going to be talking about how to make one. So I really like this analogy. So Dean Graziosi, as you know, is a guy who partners with Tony Robbins, which I know everyone's heard his name. I know his name better than Tony, but that's okay. I came across this podcast by Dean Graziosi that really clarified it for me as far as why it matters to make this, why it matters to know the difference. And it's basically like a modern day business parable. So imagine two fishermen. Both are going out to catch tuna, okay? Fisherman one, he is out the door at 4 a.m. He is on the water. He is casting his net everywhere he can. No stopping him. He's just throwing whatever bait he's got. His net's everywhere. He's got all enthusiasm. Great. Fisherman number two doesn't leave at the same time. He leaves later. But there's a reason he leaves later. He goes to the bait shop in the town. He sees that they had a big tuna over their door. And he's like, if someone knows how to catch tuna, specifically tuna, not just any fish, specifically tuna, that's going to be them. So fisherman number two, he goes into the bait shop and he's like, all right, so tell me, do you guys know where the tuna hang out? They're like, oh yeah, it's at the harbor down on the point. Okay, great. What kind of bait do they like? Well, they like this and not that. Okay, give me the first. Is there a certain time of day? Well, if you don't go, by midday, they'll be gone. Okay? And what about like reels or line or things like that? And they're like, oh, well, you got to have this so that you can catch them. Great. So what this fisherman has done is he's done research specifically on what he wants to catch. And so he leaves the dock later, but he leaves much better informed with a much better idea of where to go, how to attract the tuna, how to catch them. And at the end of the day, who do you think did better? The first fisherman who just went out and threw his net everywhere? Or the other fisherman who took his time and researched what he needed to do to catch exactly what he wanted? And that's his point. That's Dean's point, is you need to know exactly what you're going for. That way you can plan exactly for that audience. And this is the same way with, your clients, who you're trying to work with, who you want to work with. So the best way to get more clients is get to know your tuna, which sounds kind of funny, but it makes me laugh. So the way to do that with businesses and with your messaging is to create these really deep dive ideal client avatars. I may shortcut as I talk and call them ICAs or marketing personas, whatever. They kind of have a few different names, but that's what I'm talking about as I go through this. So this is a good thing for bookkeepers. I know that bookkeepers don't like creative writing, and that's the good thing. The very good thing about this stage is this is just research. When you start out trying to make a picture of exactly who you want to serve, You're just trying to get data. You are going to the bait shops and getting information. You need to research. It's not a fast place to start, it's not a sexy place to start. But speaking from experience in my own messaging, I know that it really makes a difference. So the next question would probably be like, okay, what am I looking for? I'm trying to create something that will help me talk more specifically to give my message more, I don't know, electricity, connectivity. So what am I looking for? The easiest place to start, and you can Google it and then like 18 results will come up, is to just find a template. Google client avatar template, client avatar persona, and then a bunch of free templates will pop up. Actually, in the blog I've got on this side, one of these sides, I've linked to a bunch of templates that I found that are free, that are useful. I've used them before. Don't reinvent the wheel. Go find a list of questions of things to include. It's not important for us to include all the things in this video or even in the blog post I wrote, but just from like a bird's eye view, some of the things that you'll see as you're compiling data about who you're specifically talking to, you're going to want to know a few categories. So one of those things is demographics. Okay, how old are they? Are they baby boomers or millennials? That's very different messaging. What's the gender? Are you talking to mostly men, mostly women? Location, is this someone in the Midwest, or is this someone in New York, or is this someone in a different country? Education, is this someone with a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, a doctorate? And you can see how that would change how you talk to them. You also want to include like their personality and their preferences. This includes their hobbies, what they like to do in the weekend. One of my clients likes to go ice fishing, and I really love that. I love that that's a thing in one of my one of my profiles that makes me happy. But these are things to help. You can learn patterns, and you can speak very specifically to people that way. What's their favorite music? Where another important one is what's their preferred social media platform? That'll show you where to post stuff. Also try and figure out what motivates them. What's their goals? What's success to them? Is success to them making $1 million this year? Is success to them having a more balanced work life? Is success to them more money, more time, a healthier body? You got to figure out what they want. Success is a pretty broad word once you get into it, and you want to make sure that you're meeting them where they define success. Also figure out what's keeping them from getting what they want. What's keeping them from working with you? Do they lack money? Do they lack resources, skill, time? Help them figure out what their problem is. And once you do that and you understand them and their problems really well, then you can really talk to them and you can really help them solve it, really be a servant to them. And they'll want to work with you. They'll want your help. So here's what's funny. I know that I work with bookkeepers, so a lot of that stuff probably feels irrelevant. Why would me knowing what their favorite music is have any impact on how I write stuff? But just bear with me and go along with this. This personal stuff is like the secret sauce of writing that electric stuff, especially if you find these patterns in groups. It can make it so, once again, that connectivity. Even in bookkeeping content, it's very important to have an emotional factor in your messaging, and if you can connect with them on those emotional things that they like or find a way to talk about it, it makes it a lot more interesting. It makes them know, like, and trust you more, and that's very good to know. Another part of doing a persona, not to overwhelm you, it's really good to start with just one. Who's your one ideal client? But the thing that you may run into, and that I've run into, is that as you work through who you want to work with, who would buy what you're selling, or your real life clients, you'll see that they get grouped into smaller subgroups. Now that's something I won't get into today, but that's called segmenting. It's super helpful. It's great. It's so helpful because then it means you can get your messages even more specific. That's at a later date. Um, so, for example, I have multiple ideal client avatars, ICAs, whatever you want to call them. So, for example, my persona one, I have this set of women that I saw kept popping up. They're middle aged, they're married, they're empty nesters, and I can kind of talk to them in a different way. They have a different set of interests, and they're kind of a common group inside of my ideal client. Same with, and then I have a persona two, which is, also mostly women in their 30s, young mothers. So then I can come up with patterns there. Don't get ahead of yourself. If all you can handle is one, just do one. Just do one. The patterns will come out and emerge as you do the work, I promise. Now here's the next thing. This was actually fun figuring out the different places to go. I've got some good things in here. The very important thing when you're making this stuff, here's the point of what you're trying to do. You are trying to make something from real life data in order to attract real life business. You want it to be real. So here's the thing. When you're making these profiles, when you're compiling this information to create these pictures of these people you want to work with, you can't just put guesses in. You can't say, I think it's this, maybe it's that. That doesn't work. If you want a really effective, real world, impactful client avatar for your work, you're going to have to look up data, like actual information, real world information. So you have to find where it is. So now it's just like, okay, where do you find this information? Lots of places to find it for free. Some of it I've learned as I went. One I found really recently I'm excited about. But one place you can look for information is your competition, especially ones that are like have a much bigger marketing budget than you, that have a bigger staff than you. They're probably putting out blog posts and social media posts. You can see what they're writing, what's getting the most responses, and you can just get a really good idea for what's hitting home with these people, their viewers, their readers, who you want to bring in as your business. Check out your competition. Another good one is your current clients. Now, of course, if you're just getting started, this won't work for you, but honestly, like my clients, part of it is I do all my marketing on Facebook, but it's just like I'm Facebook friends with my clients, and you know what I can do? I see what they post about what they do in the weekends, so I know where they go in the evening. I know what their favorite restaurant is. I know if they're married, if they have kids, and that helps me to know who I'm talking to, and it helps strengthen my business. And also, if you really want to get ambitious, interview a few of them, ask a few questions. You could give like a small gift incentive, but even if you don't, your clients like to be heard. So if you ask them a few questions, they probably like being able to influence and give some feedback. Another one is online trends. This is a little more ticky-tacky, but the thing you're trying to figure out is what's relevant and current for your clients. So for example, with me, I need to figure out what bookkeepers need. I need to figure out what bookkeepers are struggling with, what they're Googling for, what they need for their business. So I need to get into their head. I need to Google as if I were them. So maybe I can Google something like blog writer for bookkeepers or something like that. And then you can use Google. A really good section for that is look into the related searches section in Google. The part where it's just like people who search for this also search for this too. Use it as an idea of other places to get information. Quora is another good site for this. I'm not as experienced with that one, but I've heard really good things about it from other people who've gotten information and things like that. And keyword tools. You're trying to figure out what your clients are looking for, and it'll yield information for you. And this last one is really good. I'm really excited about this one. So if you've gotten this far, because I know I've been talking for a while, if you've gotten this far, research niche magazines. So here's the cool thing. Of course, magazines are niche publications, so you've got golf magazines, and you get even more niche, like golf magazines for women. It gets very narrowed down. That's great, because if you have a narrow focus of your client base, you can find magazines that will give you information about their readership, and here's why. So, um, I have this all laid out in my blog if you want to go through the steps more, but what's great is that you can learn a lot about the genders, the demographics, the income level, and the education level of your ideal client base if you do this magazine research. Because when you go to a magazine, go to their website, you can look up what's called their press kit or their media kit. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to entice their clients to buy space in their magazine. So they want their clients to know who they're selling to. So there you go. That they want their advertisers to know, okay, if you buy ad space here, you'll be advertising to highly educated men, mostly men with 50% of them have master's degrees, and they have a medium household income of, like $300,000 or whatever. But it gets very specific, and then you have a great picture of who you're talking to. So if you're a bookkeeper and you're trying to look at small businesses, one of the examples I used in the blog is I looked up Fast Company. That's a small business blog. Someone who has a business is going to be looking for a business bookkeeper. So look at the information, use it. It's great. And then try and use it from different magazines to give yourself a bigger picture. And then, the magazine one was my favorite. I came across it and I was like, oh my God, this is genius. I was so excited about that one. What else have I got from you? Mostly just, for now, I just get so excited about this because it's so practical, it's so actionable. This doesn't involve you making up things and guessing and shooting in the dark. These are concrete, actionable things that you can really do. It's just like you can find this information. It just takes time. If you really need to, you can outsource it probably to a VA if you need to. And you can get this information and really improve your messaging. You can make your messaging so much more specific with this information. You can serve your clients better, which will make everyone's lives better. I get really excited about how communication can open doors, build businesses, and create and improve relationships. I really do. So, but the moral of the story, going back to the fish analogy, is get to know your tuna. Sorry, it's like midnight here, so I'm a little goofy. But yeah, so that is the kind of information you need to make an ideal client avatar. Those are all really good places to find information to create it. And next week, I'll be coming back to talk about how to humanize it. So you take that data and you make it more human. You turn it into a tool. You don't just have like a set of statistics. You turn it into something you can actually use. So I'll be back next week to talk about that again on Tuesday, ideally earlier in the day. But yeah, once again, I don't know which side of your screen it's on, if it's here or here. But I also have a blog that covers all of this if written content is more your jam. So anyways, drop a comment if you have any questions. Let me know if you have anything else that I can help with regarding messaging for your business, especially if you have a bookkeeping business. And it's past my bedtime, so I'm gonna go now. All right, I hope you guys have a wonderful evening if you're in the US. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.